Once again, hello and Allah Pa to all the Baha'is of the world, all the people of the planet. My name is Abbas Temori. I'm recording what I know, what I've understood in this life that might be helpful to you. In the 5th chapter, as I've taken it's becoming a very long chapters since we're explaining all those acts and deeds that result in the spiritual power, their spiritual attributes. What's the whole story all about? So we become stronger as we die in another level of existence. I explained last night a bit about Sufism and mysticism, and somehow at the end of it, it came short. I think a couple of minutes. Nothing important was left over. And I said I shall explain this supposedly mysterious work of Baha'ullah called 7 Valleys. There are some of the writings of Baha'ullah which is directly a response to the need of the people of his time. And the response that is given by Baha'u'llah is trying to demystify, try to explain the right understanding of the situation or of the method that was taken by the people of the past. But not necessarily that is a Baha'i way. It is not the Baha'i way of reaching towards, perfections, to go through the 7 valleys. It is what has been in the past a method, perhaps an explanation. And all what has been explained about these 7 valleys in the past, and I explain it to you right now, it has been vague and not exactly clear what's going on. So Baha'u'llah tried to explain this to this fellow. He was a Kurdish man, and he was in the line of the Sufis and asking this kind of questions. So I'm not going to go detail of everything that he explains. But tell you that these 7 valleys, or otherwise called 7 cities of love, in 5th, 6th century, 700-800 years ago, has been explained in Masnavi by a very famous learned, otherwise they called Arif, as I said last time. His name was Attar, and his story is about these birds that they like to go and find the king of the birds. And in this journey, everyone takes the path to go, and Hupu, I don't know what you call it in North America, it's kind of a bird that has come in the story of Solomon in the Old Testament, and the Queen of Sheba was the messenger bird. It takes on the birds and trying to go, so the bird, they can go to find the king of the bird. And the king of the bird, the name of the king of the bird is Griffin. In Persian it's called Simorg, and in literally Simorg means 30 birds. Si means 30 and Morg means bird. So the name of this king of the bird is Simorg. English they call it Griffin. In Persian is a famous bird that has come in the mythology of the Persian long time ago, before Islam. So and all these birds, when they finally get there, they somehow found that themselves, they were only 30 birds that they got there. And so these 30 birds that they got there, it became a kind of manifestation of the reality of the Simor, which is also named 30 birds. The whole story is a bit convoluted. There's not a pathway for a person to actually take it and literally go to reach to God. And previous to Attar, there were others who wrote this story. I think the first one of them was Abu Ali Sina, which you know him in the West as Avicenna. And he has this story of the birds again. And there, I guess, there's a king of the birds and whatnot. There had been this story written even by after him. Another one is called Risalatut Tayr, the Epistle of the Birds, by Imam Ghazali, who was more into the religion. Avicenna was also in the medicine as well. And a few others after that. It can go date back even to Aristophanes, the Greek writer who wrote the comedies. He has this story of birds, that they try to go build a city and whatnot. So these things came in the past, coming from Greek, coming from the ancient Iranian, Zoroastrian, into the Persian concept of the religion, which was Shiites. And then, as I said, they got tired of this, not knowing who the leader is and the convoluted of the environment. People called Sufis, they came about, and some of them are serious, like Attar and Ghazali and Rumi, and they try to somehow explain a way to go to God and create the misconception that you don't need the prophet of God or the religion of God. This way you can just get to God, which, by the way, is not the idea of the Rumi and Attar and others. So Baha'u'llah is trying to explain this to this gentleman. What are these 7 valleys? But not necessarily the way he likes to look at this issue. Baha'u'llah's in the Book of Certitude, in the most beautiful way, he explained this pathway towards God. And I have read some of it for you. And I don't know if I have time right now to read all of it, but you can refer yourself to the second part of the Book of Certitude. It starts like this, and I'm going to go begin a bit of it. Quote, "But, O my brother, when a true seeker determined to take the steps of the search and the path leading to the knowledge of the Ancient of the Days, he must before all else cleanse and purify his heart, which is the seat of the revelation of the inner mysteries of God, from the obscuring dust of the acquired knowledge and the illusions of the embodiment of the satanic fancy. He must purge his breast, which is the sanctuary of the abiding love of the beloved, of every defilement, and sanctify his soul from all that pertaineth to water and clay, from all shadowy and ephemeral attachment. He must cleanse his heart, that no remnant of either love or hate may linger therein, lest the love blindly incline him to error, or that hate repel him away from the truth. Even as thou dost witness in this day, how most of the people, because of such love and hate, or breath of the immortal face, have strayed far from the embodiment of the divine mysteries, and shepherdless are roaming through the wilderness of oblivion and error. The seeker must all times put his trust in God, must renounce the people of the earth, detach himself from the world of dust, and cleave unto him who is the Lord of the lords. He must never seek to exalt himself above anyone, must wash away from the tablet of his heart every trace of pride and vain glory, must cling unto patience of resignations, observe silence, and refrain from idle talk. For the tongue is a smoldering fire, and excess of his speech a deadly poison. Material fire consumeth the body, whereas the fire of the tongue devoureth both heart and soul. The force of the former lasted but for a time, whilst the effects of the latter endures a century. The seeker should also regard backbiting as grievous error, and keep himself aloof from its dominion, as much as backbiting quencheth the light of the heart, and extinguisheth the life of the soul. He should be content with little and be freed from all inordinate desires. He should treasure the companionship of those that have renounced the world and regard avoidance of boastful and worldly people a precious benefit. At the dawn of every day he should commune with God, and with all his soul persevere on the quest of his beloved. He should consume every wayward tongue with the flame of his loving mention, and with the swiftness of lightning pass by all else save him. He should succor the disposed, and never withhold his favor from the destitute. He should show kindness to animals, how much more unto his fellow man, to him who is endowed with the power of utterance. He should not hesitate to offer up his life for his beloved, nor allow the censures of the people to turn him away from the truth. He should not wish for others that which he does not wish for himself, nor promise that which he doth not fulfill. With all his heart should the seeker avoid fellowship with the evildoers and pray for the remission of their sins. He should forgive the sinful and never despise his low estate, for none knoweth what his own end shall be. How often had a sinner at the hour of death attained to the essence of faith, and quaffing the immortal draught, had taken his flight unto the celestial concourse, and how often had the devout believer at the hour of his soul ascension been so changed as to fall into the nethermost fire. Our purpose in revealing this convincing and weighty utterances is to impress upon the seeker that he should regard all else beside God as transient, and count all things save him, who is the object of all adoration, as utter nothingness. These are among the attributes of the exalted, and constitute the hallmark of the spiritually minded. Very well, I did it all. This is a Baha'i way that Baha'ullah summed it up. You can refer yourself to the book and read it. There's a lot of explanation to make this to be understood by everyone. But this is the Baha'i way of going towards God. So 7 valleys, although Baha'u'llah's explained it, trying to moderate it, trying to modify, trying to bring it to the point, is not necessarily a way that the Baha'is, they think they should follow these 7 valleys. This is an Islamic things, and by the way, it was not brought about by any of the Imams in Islam. This is just the Sufis Sufis way of looking at how to get basically towards God. But myself, looking at the Baha'i faith, I became a Baha'i after all, and I've seen in my life 50 years and so many ways. I found out